Hey everybody, this is The Last Gate Jumper. My name's Carl and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to go talk about Season 1, Episode 1 of House of the Dragon. Now, I'm not the biggest Game of Thrones guy. I haven't really read any of the books, and honestly, I've only seen clips of the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones and really bits and parts of Season 5 and 6, and then I saw all of 7 and then only the first part of 8, which you know why wasn't really worth watching after the first 3, 4 episodes. So, anyways, we're not talking about Game of Thrones, the disaster. We're talking about House of the Dragon, the mighty comeback. Now, House of the Dragon is a fantastic show so far for the first episode. I personally enjoyed it. Um, but you might disagree. So let me go into it and I'll let you know where I'm at the end of it. But just from now, you can pretty much tell I highly recommend the show. Anyways, so House of the Dragon starts about 130 years before Game of Thrones takes place. Show starts off with a succession issue. The old king has brought a whole bunch of lords together for a vote on who should lead between his two children. The lords vote on, I think it was Aegon Targaryen to take the throne. He takes the throne with his queen. They have a pretty successful reign, I think, for the most part. But unfortunately, his queen just has a single daughter, and I think 4 miscarriages, and it gives you a bad impression for what's to come further down the episode after we learn this information. Because at the moment she now has a child once more, and he's really hoping that it will be a boy, so he'll have an heir then. Anyways, we are then introduced to his daughter, Varys Targaryen, I think that's her name. I don't remember. I need to go back and take a look. But so we're introduced to her. She's riding her dragon. Seems to be a pretty fearless, confident teenager who cares very deeply for her mom and dad. So nice to see there. She uh, maybe is not the most time oriented because she's late to serve her father in his court, which it's fine for the most part, but that is her job to be there. So I like her character so far in the very beginning. Um, Her dad seems like an okay guy. Probably not the best king in the world, but honestly, you could do worse for kings, and we've seen worse in Game of Thrones. So yeah, I give him probably a B. I wouldn't call him anything great, but he's a solid leader. Anyways, there's some issues with the realm going on. Um, One of the Targaryens that was aiming for the throne um, is they're talking about issues with the sea lanes due to pirates and all that, and he wants the crown to take more of an interest. But they seem to not be putting that much of an effort into taking care of their ships and economy and all that. So that off the bat should tell you what kind of a king this is. That he seems like a decent guy, but he's not the smartest king. Because if he really wanted to maintain good in that good economy within his realm, he wouldn't allow his ships to be raided. But which he's working on trying getting that resolved diplomatically, but I think he's just taking way too much time. At least that's what's kind of being implied through the series, is that this is something that comes up again and again and again. And the king's just like, we're working on it diplomatically. You just gotta give us time. And don't worry, we will compensate you for any ships you lose. Yeah. And as I said, this was the husband of the woman that won the throne as well. So you could almost see it as the king kind of spiting his rivals just a little bit. Eh, you could see it that way. Um, we're then introduced to Daemon Targaryen. Probably make a really good field commander. Um, but probably a horrible king. And the reason why I say that is that the way that he dishes out justice to the criminals of King's Landing is pretty brutal. He rounds up a whole bunch of criminals. I believe that for the thieves, they chop off the hands, and a lot of them, they um, butcher pretty much the criminal element. And it's quite graphic, which is fine. It's Game of Thrones. Everyone expects it to be graphic. But it gives you a good depiction of what kind of man Daemon Targaryen is. Now, maybe it was necessary, but I doubt it. This is King's Landing. You should be able to maintain order without resorting to these methods, but he did. So that gives you an indication that he's a very brutal man and um, more of a tyrant than a just leader, but there we go. We then have the tournament going on, and it's a great part of Game of Thrones. House of the Dragon, season 1 episode. I enjoyed quite a bit. I thought it was pretty crazy though when they showed the part where the knights started to have a full-on brawl with each other and started murdering each other. Like, ooh, I wasn't expecting you to go there, but damn, I that was pretty bloody. But they made a good point that the knights down in the arena weren't really soldiers. That they were more so just lords just prancing around because there wasn't really a major war that happened in the Seven Kingdoms in a while. And I say that because, well, I don't know the show. I mean, I don't know the history of Game of Thrones all that well. So, forgive me if I'm completely spouting misinformation here. I highly recommend you go check out one of the more experienced lore channels than mine. I'm just a layman man just talking from what I know of the show, and I enjoyed it quite thoroughly. And I would say that the reason why is that I don't really think the Seven Realms have known outright open warfare since the Targaryens came to power. I mean, fair enough. When you got someone with flying, breathing fire lizards, you tend not to want to amass an army that could be wiped out. Just saying. Anyways, so that is going on, and at the same time, the queen goes into labor, and we're having this going between the labor and the tournament and back and forth. One part of the tournament, one of the gentlemen wants to give or would like to receive Rhaenyra. No, it was Damien. Sorry, Damien wishes to receive the bouquet or her flowers. Something I don't remember what it is. My bad. From one of her handmaids, from her best friend handmaid, I should say, and she does, although to the chagrin of her father, who is the king's right hand. He doesn't like Damien much, and for good reason, I'd say, because he's a very smart hand of the king, and I would say in many senses wise not to trust Daemon. But she gives it to Daemon anyways, and he goes out and jousts with all the other knights, and is quite vicious and brutal. Um, when we first see him go, instead of like going for the knight, he takes out the knight's horse's legs, which is like, damn, dude, that's dirty. But everyone just claps like, oh yeah, everyone should do this. It's completely acceptable. So, yeah, not 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 the best of guys, but hey, that's what you got to deal with, I guess. So, as the tournament's going on, it slowly winds down to Damien and this lesser lord, who are then jousting. And Rhaenyra seems to be quite smitten with this young knight because he's able to unseat Daemon from his horse, and the two start a sword fight. Well, I shouldn't say sword. Daemon has a sword and shield, whereas the knight that unhorsed him just has a mace. So they start fighting. It looks like Damien's going to get the upper hand and win, but at the end of it, the young knight is able to overcome Daemon Targaryen and make him yield, and is able to receive the flowers from Daenerys Targaryen. At this point of the show, we're then cut to the king, and he's informed, unfortunately, that the pregnancy is not going well, that either he is going to lose his wife and child, or they could make a decision and save the child, but it's going to kill the queen. And the king has an unfortunate decision to make, whether to save, well, an unfortunate decision to either make the queen far more in pain than she was in an attempt to save the child, or to let them both just die. He chooses to try to save the child. And so they start making their decisions, and the queen starts to understand what's about to happen and is not happy about it. She begs them to stop, but unfortunately it doesn't happen like that. And the queen passes away and gives birth to a boy. So the king has an heir for 2 hours, and then he too passes away. We then see in the next scene the Targaryens at the funeral, and Varys Targaryen is talking to her uncle Daemon Targaryen, and I gotta say she's a little bit of a twat at this point, because she kind of makes it sound like, I hope my father was happy with his heir for 2 hours. Like, could you be any more of an ass? I'm like, come on, girl. Like, he had a hard decision to make. And really, it wasn't really much of a decision. Either try to save one or lose both. And he tried. He did all he could. It was in the maester's hands to try to save the queen. So, at the funeral, she steps up to help her father, and they roast the queen's body. Guess that's the best way I can say it. I mean, they lit the queen's body on fire using the dragons, but I mean, pretty much the same thing. Then the next scene plays into the council coming together and starts talking to the king about the succession. First recommendation is that his daughter takes the throne. Next is Aemon Targaryen, or Daemon Targaryen. I need to go check these names again. He should take the throne. And then finally, the gentleman whose wife was also a potential for the throne speaks up and gives his support. And they kind of shoot him down because he had been in support of Daemon Targaryen, but you shot his idea for that down. Like, this is the idea phase. So, kind of hypocrites. If you're not going to go with the daughter, if you're not going to go with the brother, I mean, there's really only one other plausible option left, and he just gave voice to it. So you guys are going to be assholes. That's kind of on you, not on him. So, during this meeting, though, the king demands them all to leave, seeing them as nothing better than just crows feasting on the bodies of his son and wife. And he's pretty much right. They are trying to pick things over. But, yeah, not the best. In the end, though, he does decide to give Daenerys the title of heir to the king, because Daemon made some comments at a pub or brothel saying, "King for a day was my nephew," or something along those lines, and he didn't take too kindly to that and ordered him to return to his wife. So, that's where we're at with the first episodes of House of Dragon. Highly recommend. Would really encourage anyone to watch it. I'll try to get my review for that out tomorrow, or it might be Lord of the Rings Day. So, we'll see what happens. Catch you later. Bye.